Oh, you want to take this down? You want to throw this down?
Yeah, you can take that down. And we're live. I didn't know that was going to start it. Okay, welcome to episode 3 of the Jaime and Jay podcast. The topic for this episode is what happened to men.
Yeah.
This was a suggested topic, too. It's a really, really good one. So, more so what was said to us, and me and Jaime both looked at each other and thought it was a great idea, is why are men today different than men 20 years ago? And our coworker who said this to us said that he believes that it is because this generation of men were raised by women, which is partially true. Obviously, not everybody, but that does influence the society as a whole. We can get into me first, and then we'll go into you. I was raised for the most of my life, most of my adolescence, with both parents, and then my parents split up when I was 14. My dad still remained in my life, so I think that I grew up with a lot of the attributes of having a male role model still there. I've had plenty of good coaches and mentors in my life as well. What we talked about before we started was that I believe that something that's taught whenever you're a kid, and it's harder and harder to get whenever you grow up, is whenever you're getting pushed by your dad.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very young. Like, my dad always pushed me to be stronger. I was a really weak kid, really, really weak, and I can this now.
Do you mean that mentally or physically?
Both.
Okay.
Both,
yeah.
definitely. Yeah. I was talking about physically, but to think about it, you know what? I was probably both. Definitely both. I wasn't resilient. I definitely learned that later on, but I'm talking about maybe to 12, 13.
Yeah, those preteen.
The preteen years.
That's kind of the time I feel maybe my mental was just so much over the place that I was probably the same way, kind of weak mentally, right? So I mean those are those years where you every influence you get is just, it's really affecting you because you're just taking everything in. You're not an adult yet, but you think you're an adult, right? You're not even an adult in high school, right? But it's still there's a lot of influence that goes into that, and so your life can go so many different ways depending on who you have in your life at that point, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. And you have to hear that. I think you don't have to, but it helps, right, to hear that from somebody you know that loves you.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to think whenever your dad's telling you, oh, you got to be stronger, that, oh, he's telling me this out of hate because he dislikes me. It's, you should feel that that's for the betterment of yourself. And then that translate, 15 years later, whenever you're in your 20s, you're at your job and your boss is telling you, oh, you gotta pick it up, you gotta do this, or maybe even your coworker is saying, hey, you gotta pick up the pace, you're falling behind or you're getting distracted, and that will turn into someone feeling oh, you're kind of hating on me, or it's coming out of a malicious place when really someone's pushing you to do better. But if you weren't pushed like that, from your adolescence, you go through life thinking that everybody who's telling you to be better is has bad intent towards you, and sometimes you really need it, and that changes the way that men think about their physical form, how they perform at their job, how they perform with their finances, even dressing up. Sometimes I gotta tell my boys hey, we're going somewhere nice. You can't go over there that. You got to dress up a little bit.
Don't be wearing slides and basketball shorts and shit, right?
Yeah, we're going to Ruth Chris.
Yeah, bro, at least throw a polo or something, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know if you want me to go into mine, my background real quick. So
start on yours.
Yeah, so I had both of my parents in my life. They're still married. My dad's Jaime Sr. I'm actually Jaime Jr., right? And the funny thing is I use James on all my social media because at one point, me and my dad are so alike. We're almost so alike, but different versions of each other, right? And we just always bumped heads. We're just two strong personalities. We always bumped heads, right? And I think that's the misunderstanding, how I guess my dad would critique me and stuff like that. I almost took it so personal, and it was almost it felt like it was an attack. And but it wasn't. It definitely wasn't.
I think it feels like an attack at first until it feels like an attack until you need it, and then you're like, oh, that's why he was telling me this.
No, yeah, bro. It's the funny thing is, so my dad had me when he was 20. My mom had me when she was 18. Right, my parents were both young. I always say that I grew up with my parents, right, and not only that, but my parents didn't have good role models as parents either. So how was how, like thinking about it now, I think very much that my parents did the best they could with the role models they had in their life, right? And so we all know that maybe the communication wasn't there, right? But the effort and the kind of what the effort and what my dad did, like I can't take away from that. Like my dad very much did try to be present in my life at like every chance he got. Like if we was doing something around the house, my dad's very good with his hands. He would make me sit there and just watch him, and I'm like, why is this guy making me watch him wire a plug for a house? Like I'm not gonna be an electrician, right? And I remember like asking him one day, like just getting so frustrated as a kid and be like, Dad, why am I here? And he's like, well, if something breaks, are you going to go ask your neighbor to fix it? Or are you going to fix it yourself? And so now, bro, I'm very much the person that like, I mean, yeah, I probably could afford to go and pay somebody to go fix something for me or like whatever it is, right? But I'm very much the person like, if I can figure it out, I'm going to try. And like sometimes I don't even need like any influence in it. I'm just going to start doing it. But it's very much like I'll start picking it up and just start like seeing, does this work? Does this work? Whatever, this doesn't work. Okay, let's try this. And that's very much a quality that my dad has. My dad's like so good with his hands, so good with like figuring out how to fix problems. And so like I feel like I have that quality now. And maybe me and my dad are in two separate things that we do in our lives, but it's very much a quality I got from my dad. And I feel like if my dad wasn't there present enough, I very much would not be the person I am today. Or if anything, I mean, it would be a whole lot longer of a journey to get here.
You know what? That's kind of, it's weird, right? The genetics, how you find yourself, even if you try to run away from it, you end up becoming your parents. Yeah. And in some of my best times and some of my darkest times and the worst things I've done, I sit there and I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, fuck, like I'm my dad. Like, you know, because he definitely, my father, like what you said, he did not have any guidance, you know what I mean, from his parents. He has a non-existent relationship with his parents now. Okay. And he kind of developed this ruthlessness as a child. And my mom's the complete opposite. She had both of her parents in her life. They raised her very warm, very nice. So I have both. You know what I mean? I have like my dad's ruthlessness and my mom's like caring. And those two things conflict with each other. But I couldn't help growing up and talking to my dad, and he would tell me stories about things that he's done or the way that he looks at things, you know, in a time where we weren't around each other. I wasn't, there for those things. Like him telling me stories about stuff that happened to him when he was a teenager, and then me thinking to myself, like, holy shit, like whenever I was in those scenarios, I handled them the exact same way, like just like he would. Like I could not fight the genetics and stop myself from being like him. So I think that, genetics are so strong, and it's kind of scary because those two events, many, many different events on many different occasions, all happened away from each other without him telling me how he would have handled it. And I ended up doing the exact same thing he did.
No, yeah. And so another thing too, like I see homie over here, he says like my parents never helped me do nothing. Like I think it's one of those things where like there are people out there who are gonna figure it out regardless, right? There's people out there who are gonna they're gonna figure it out regardless, right? And then maybe even the lack of not having somebody there is still like it shows you what you don't want to be, or at least for somebody who wants to be better, right? It shows you like hey, my dad wasn't there. When I have a kid, I want to be present, right? I want to do these things. Like or even if you had a bad parent, right? It's very much like, okay, my parent. If you have a bad parent, your parent's showing you the things you don't want to be when you get to that point. I'm gonna give my kids everything that I didn't have, right? In my situation now, my parents are really good. Me and my parents have a great relationship now. So it's maybe there were certain things that we didn't have because it's my parents' first time in life too. Early on in life, like my dad really, his communication skills were not the best, you know. And but like as a man, like my dad didn't have his dad in his life, right? He has a stepdad, right? But his probably wasn't a great example either, you know. But it's one of those things where like he did the best what he could do, right? And then from there, I'm gonna see what lacked in my life, and then I'm gonna improve upon that whenever I get to that point, you know.
Yeah, and it's a little tough for us to speak for the people who grew up without their dad, but just on the outside looking in, I think that it did destroy the young men of America in the last 20 years more than it would have 20 years ago, because I think that whenever this generation didn't have their father figures, they were exposed to the internet.
Yeah.
And they took in a lot of bad influence. The internet is trash to anybody. Even if you had both parents, if you were raised right, whatever, you get influenced by the internet and it's going to fuck your head up. But if that's all you have, you know what I mean? You have your mom, and then what you see as a man is just like the debauchery that's on the internet nowadays.
Yeah,
you know,
it's
telling you to express yourself in a real bad way. And up until a few years ago, I guess now they have like the manosphere, you know, kind of saying some good things. I mean, not everybody says things that I agree with, but, you know, at least purporting now how to be a man, you know, in the very, very last few years. But that's only, we're only barely seeing those men who grew up with that, you know, come into adulthood like myself.
Yeah.
Before that was like the we hate men phase of the internet. Like everything, you know, you being a man, expressing your opinion, them kind of like pushing on like the LGBTQ stuff, like kind of wanting to like soften up men a little bit and not downplay everything that it is to be a man. And that women, we have to, you know, not to say that we don't take care of women, but the pedestal that they were kind of put on right before, you know, like maybe like 2021, before Andrew Tate and all of that stuff, before that, it was like we had to put women in positions that maybe they weren't qualified for just because they were women, you know, over men. And it was a real shift in the society the last few years, but I don't think that we've seen the benefits of that. And who knows, it could shift the other direction again and get worse, but I think that they did suppress what it means to be a true man, you know. And
I think when I look back, right, maybe, I don't know how old your dad is, right? My dad's 48 right now, right? So he's still kind of young. And I just remember like growing up, it was very much like yeah, my mom worked. My mom was very much a independent, strong woman. She could do it by herself if she really wanted to, right? But like my dad took care of almost everything, you know. My dad was the one, we figured out how to cut the grass. If anything was broken, he fixed it, right? It was very much like that, where like my dad was a provider. My dad was a hard worker. My dad was always working. Anytime like my dad could do overtime, he was there.
very traditional.
Yeah, very, very traditional. My dad's not from Mexico, right? But he's first generation where he was born here, right? And so like it's very much like a, you know, like that Mexican household kind of thing where my mom maybe there was still like that, you know, or chores or like that were split up. But my mom kind of like did everything she could, like help raising us and doing all that stuff, right? As much as she could, right? So it's very much even with her working. So there were still those where my mom was working, right, whatever, but my dad was very much the provider of the household. Like, we all leaned up on my dad. But the one thing, though, too, is I think, like, nowadays, back then, bro, I just remember, like, my dad really only had, like, two emotions. Like, he was chill or he was, like, really angry, right? There's, like, no in between, right? And and then now it's, like, it's because you, like, back then I feel like the man just had to be the provider. He had to be the strong one. He had to be the rock and stuff like that, right? Like, of the household, where everybody just leaned up on him, and like we all knew if dad was there, like we were gonna be good. But nowadays, I feel like it's almost shamed upon to have like some type of emotion behind it, right? Like thinking about that, like I almost feel like not that I've never seen my dad cry. I just remember it being like really, really later on in life for the first time I ever saw him cry, right? And it was a moment where he was drinking and stuff like that. But like I just remember hearing a lot of like, it sounded like a lot of bottled up emotion, you know? And like, I'm like, damn, like this guy, one, he had to grow up really quick because he had me. And then two, like, I feel like he never really had that chance to ever be like vulnerable because he always had to be that man, you know? And I feel like nowadays it's almost like me. I mean, I'm a pretty emotional guy. So it's kind of like if I have well, it doesn't matter what emotion it is, right? It's gonna come out, right? So I'm very vocal about that stuff like that, and that's where me and my dad are a little bit different. And so I think that's one thing where I don't feel like I'm gonna like kind of push myself down to make everybody around me feel better about that. Like I very much feel like, hey, my mental health is just as important as anybody else's. And so like sometimes I don't know like where we're going with this, but it's kind of more one of those things where I it is kind of hard work because that's where the way I was raised. Like for most of my life, I felt like it was kind of hard for me to let these things out because I almost felt guilty because I feel like, oh, I'm a man. I shouldn't feel this way. Like I should just be working and doing what I gotta do and providing whatever it is, you know, even though I didn't have a family of my own. But I don't know if you feel that same way or like how, I don't know, like.
There is a little bit of, okay, in the traditional sense, right? Because we are speaking about the difference between men 20 years ago and men now. One of the things that wasn't good about 20 years ago is, yes, men did bottle up all of their emotions. Now, in the present day, it's okay to show your emotions. It's okay to talk about things. Now, what's not okay is to let yourself slip up because of it. And that has been, whenever you have like herds of people all believing the same thing, that creates a normality, right? So at the time, all of the men 20 years ago felt like, oh, no, nobody can show emotion. Nobody can talk about anything. So that was normal. Nowadays with the internet, right, whenever you have the men raised by the internet, this generation, whatever space they get sucked into is whatever they feel like is normal. So if they're around a bunch of guys who feel like, okay, I'm sad today or I'm upset, so I'm not going to do anything and I'm going to just, be a slob, sit on the couch or curl up in a ball and not do anything about my problems. If they're around a bunch of people who feel like that's the normal response, then that's what they're going to do.
Yeah, and I think
if you're around people who feel like, okay, you have the right to be sad, you have the right to be angry, we're going to hear you out, but we still got to hit the gym today, bro.
Oh, yeah.
We still got to get some money. Yeah. So I don't think that there's anything wrong with, changing that parameter from 20 years ago, because I think that it did, like, it bottles up. And that's, you either explode or you implode. And whenever you saw your dad that night, he was imploding. Like you said, it felt like it was built up. Like he was blowing up on the inside, and men hold that in. They've held that in for years and years and years and years. And then they implode on themselves.
Yeah, and so I almost see him like he was almost like living like an island, like by himself. And I feel like nowadays, at least like for like what we do, right? We work with primarily men. Like it's one of those things, like you said last podcast, how like when you're at the Dodge store that that
up for debate.
Yeah, where you were saying that like, hey, like we like when you said that it was kind of one of those rough times at your last store where we were all like we're all kind of doing bad, so we're all in it together. And then so like now I feel like there is a little bit more community, right? Community there where like, hey, I can go up to you and I can like kind of like you were saying the other day, Louis saw you in the back, or no, Louis said that like he saw you in the back and he was like, oh.
Yes, Louis caught me in the back getting a soda after I had sold a car. I was so tired, and I knew that I was going to have to stay late. So I was like, you know what? I need a little bit of caffeine to push through this so I can have a little happy delivery. I was so pissed that night because finance took forever. I left at like 11:16. I handed the keys off, and I said, hey, I know that you're trying to get out of here. So, and I left it as it is. But he saw me in the back grabbing a soda, and he's like, hey, can I tell you something? He's like, I wanna hold you accountable. He's like, pour out that soda, and I was like, fuck. So I poured out most of it. I took a little bit of a sip, and I had like this much of it, and then I just poured out the rest. And it is good to have people like that to hold you accountable. And I'm a person that, like I said, I was raised with my dad holding me accountable as a child, and I don't take offense to him doing that to me. I'm not like, nah, fuck you, bro. You don't understand, like,
yeah.
It's
hard
is
to take
tough.
it sometimes, yeah, because you're almost it's very hard because especially like as men we kind of struggle by ourselves a lot of times, right? It's kind of hard for us to open up, kind of be vulnerable with certain things, right? And like you almost like if somebody's gonna kind of critique you, it's gonna be about maybe something you're struggling with, right? And so if you're struggling with it, you might already have those insecurities about it. So like when somebody opens up and tells you like, hey, bro, like I heard this. I heard you did this. Maybe you could do this better or something like that. You're almost like it does. It's hard to not take it as an attack. And I think it's been easier to take it like that, especially from people that you love later on in life. But I remember being younger, bro, and like I remember asking one of my parents after my first football game, like, "Oh, how do you think I did?" And my mom said, "Well, I think you could have ran a little bit faster." And don't get me wrong, like, I was a big kid, right? So I didn't run it.
Yeah.
I didn't really want to run, but I just took it so to heart, like, damn, like, oh. But in reality, like, I misinterpreted like what she said and how she said it. I know that communication wasn't like the best thing growing up, right? We were all learning, but it's hard to not take critique the wrong way sometimes. But we also have to be vulnerable and be like, hey, sometimes people are trying to help.
You need to introduce that at a young age. So that way, whenever it happens, like I said, 15 years later, whenever you're older, you understand now, that it's someone pushing you to be better. Because, of course, as a kid, you're going to feel like, oh, fuck, like, how would you know, like, I should have ran faster. I was trying to run my fastest.
Yeah.
But, and now whenever you look back at it, you're like, okay, she wanted me to be better. Yeah. Now whenever you're having conversations with people, your peers or your colleagues, it's like, okay, someone's pushing me to be better. I can't be mad at Luis for that.
Yeah, he was holding you accountable, bro. And the crazy thing too is that was at the end of our podcast that we were talking about that.
Yeah.
So to know that a homie like is supporting us through everything and watching our whole hour and 15 minute, however long it was, and then he caught that, saw you in person, and said, "Hey, man, can I talk to you?" And he didn't. From what I wasn't there, right? So from what I heard, it was more like, "Hey, can I tell you something?"
Yeah.
Like just to make sure, hey, like we're on the same page. Like you're not gonna take this the wrong way. But for him to hold you accountable for that, like that's great, bro. Even like we talked about last time our goals for work, and you said, well, I might pick up 1 lead a day, and then that one day you were I think I was off, and you're like, bro, I picked up 8 leads and I got 4 appointments, and then somebody else, JP, was like, who's this guy getting on the leads? And I was like, well, what does it say? He's like, Anthony Herrera. He's like, because he never sees your name there.
Yeah.
And then and I was like, oh, that's Jay. I was like, bro, good. I'm glad he's getting those leads because this is something we talked about, right? And it's almost holding you accountable. It's like there's like certain check-ins throughout the week, right? And it's you could take it as, man, this dude's on my ass, blah blah blah, whatever, right? But it's reality, like, hey, like I'm not getting anything out of this of you making more money for yourself. I'm just trying to help you get to that point where like this is what you want, and you told me that you want that. I care about you enough to be like, okay, here, I'm gonna hold you accountable in the times that you're weak, and then we kind of need that, but we need that community, between me. And I feel like maybe that's something that we didn't have way back when. That's another thing too, is more like an island type of thing, right? I mean, who knows? But I know that if you don't have that early on kind of exposure to having like that critique as a young man, like it's so hard to take it. It's so hard. It's so hard to take it. Like, hey, somebody like coaches, man, bro, like football and stuff like that, like in high school.
I remember whenever I was in football, I fucking hated my coach.
Oh yeah.
My linebacker coach, he was ruthless. He was brutal. I fucking hated him. He made me dread going to practice every single day. And you know what's the funny part? Like years later, whenever I was first like starting to work out and get in shape, it was like his voice in the back of my head that like fucking stuck with me, that like helped me push through those extra sets. And it's like, wow. Like now looking back at it 3 years, and I was at that point I was already out of school, or we weren't out of school, but it was during COVID, so we weren't in school, right? I was technically still like a senior, junior, whatever.
That's crazy.
But I never got to like thank him. Like, damn, like I understand what you were trying to tell me whenever I was there playing football, and I fucking hated the sport. Like I joined because
you hated football.
I hated football, bro. I joined because there was some of the other guys said that I didn't play football because I couldn't. Like, I couldn't handle it. So I was like, I'll fucking join. Like, it's, what y'all do isn't that, like, hard, you know?
Yeah, no.
And I did it, right, just to prove a point. But I didn't even enjoy this sport. I didn't even know how fucking football worked when I was playing.
Oh, yeah, when I
didn't understand, like, what was going on in the game. I just knew, like, in my position, where I was supposed to go and who I was supposed to hit. That was about it.
Yeah, I remember, like, my first games in middle school, my coach just told me, I was like, Coach, I don't really know what I'm doing. And he said, if we have the ball, protect the guy with the ball. If they have the ball, you got to get the guy with the ball. That was the easiest way to make. I was like, all right, cool, whatever. But dude, yeah, I remember my in high school, my defensive coordinator, Coach Pullet. Shout out Coach Pullet, like one of the biggest influences in my life. Bro, like I was like one of the leaders on our my football squad or whatever it was, right? And if he picked on you, that means he liked you, right? And you just didn't see it that way. And so, bro, I remember walking through the hallways at Jeff, right? I went to Jefferson High School, right? So, and then if he saw you in the hallway, it didn't matter who you were with, like what you were doing, he'd like make you do some crazy random things, like 2 push-ups, a burpee, like whatever it was, like just to make a point, like, hey, like you're gonna listen to me. But like it taught you discipline, bro. Like the crazy thing is, it did teach you discipline. It did teach you that, like, at the end of the day, when it came down to football, bro, there were things where he got in my head, bro, and he made me better, bro. It's so hard to take it that way in the moment because he's pushing you, bro. He's pushing
You have to be rough though, like.
Yeah.
And I learned this. I learned this with music, right? With my guys, I felt like sometimes, if I said something kind of softly, nobody took it seriously, and I had to say it in a fucked up way to my homies. Do 20 push-ups.
The 20 push-ups, yeah.
Yeah, we'll do it after. I had to say it fucked up in a fucked up way, sometimes in a humiliating way for someone to get the point.
Yeah, and you almost want to make it where they use it like they're trying to prove you wrong. That's another way too. Like you can motivate somebody where like you're gonna piss them off so much that they're gonna prove you wrong, and they do it out of spite. And that's kind of one of the things, bro. I am trying to work on because I am very much you're doubting me. Okay, let me show you. Like, and I don't think that's a healthy way to like live life, right? Because it's almost like a toxic trait.
No, but it is, but it motivates you. Like,
yeah.
My linebacker coach, I was benching, right? And I love to do bench now. At the time, I hated it. Now it's my favorite workout. I was struggling, right? I don't know how much weight on there. It was maybe like a 45 and like 15 pounds. I was sitting there struggling, right? And I couldn't like get it. And he saw me there, like he was like standing above me, and he grabs the weight, right? Because I wasn't gonna get it. He grabs it, he picks it up, and starts cleaning it in front of me like this. Bro.
Just curling it?
Huh?
Just like
yes, yeah. Like, and I was like, fuck. I was like, what an ass. But I understand that he was trying to show me, like, hey, like this is no weight. You know what I mean? You need to be able to handle this, because if not, I'm gonna get my ass kicked out there on the field.
Oh yeah. Facts. Yeah, bro.
If I can't handle that weight, like there's a guy on the other team who can do it and who's willing to, push it up. And I was giving up. And honestly, I didn't understand working out. Like, and it's so crazy because going back into it now is I get it, but before it's echoing out there, right?
Yeah.
Hold on, let me text my girl to turn it down.
Now, oh yeah, I get. Oh, that's us.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. I was like, oh okay. No, and so I know, bro. Like there's very much things that my coaches have instilled in my head where like I talk about to the day. Like there's things that I say that my coaches are just they drilled it into my head, bro. And at the time, like it's like like you're just already like physically draining a workout, and you need to find a way. That's one of the things that you say is find a way, right? Like to keep on going. Oh, my bad.
Louder.
My bad. Oh, okay. Wait. Oh, mine's louder. I told you, bro, mine was louder.
No, she's saying, can you fix James' mic? Yours is louder. She's saying mine's louder.
Okay, my bad.
I know, and we turned yours down, but now you're not speaking it to
okay, yeah, my bad. But what were you saying before we
Before I had okay.
Yeah.
Whenever I was working out before, I was giving up so quick. And he could see that. He knew that I was giving up, and at the time, I didn't know I was giving up. Because whenever I went back into working out, I realized, I'm like, fuck, like, if you have that mental, you can push yourself way further. Like, it might not be a whole lot, but I know that your mind gives up before your body does. Your mind will tell you that you don't have any more in you, and your body knows you got 5 more reps in you.
Yep.
So at the time, I could see that he was looking at me knowing that I was mentally giving up before my body gave out.
Yeah.
Knowing that I was stronger than I was. I didn't want to see the bar go up. I didn't care because I knew that someone was going to pick it up behind me. Either he was or my spotter was going to pick it up. But if you tell yourself, like, this bar needs to be raised, and
Yeah, it's almost like have you seen that little video? I don't know if it's a little boy, or little girl, but like they're in the water and they're like crying because they feel like they can't swim or whatever it is, and they're like trying to like hold on to something, and then the dad just like picks them up and stands them up, and they're like, oh, I'm good. You know, like
Yes, yeah, exactly.
yeah,
That's why I like bench so much now, is because it's a fight or flight workout.
yeah. Either I'm gonna get this or I'm gonna die.
Yeah,
You know?
this bar is going to fall on top of my face.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of workouts like that. You know what I mean? You're curling, you can just throw it on the ground.
I
Like
don't know, bro. A squat. Thinking about putting 400 pounds.
squat is very much like that too. I don't trust my back enough to be squatting heavy, because man, you lose your back, you're fucked. But and you could tear your chest on bench too. It's just it's a lot less of a, like, you destroy your back, you're fucked. Like on everything, there's no, you lose your mobility like all around. You tear it like a chest. It's like, okay, well you lost one arm, but you still have the left one. Like,
that's such a horrible way to think, right? I still got a left arm. But I definitely think, yeah. So like it's I think working out, like that's the one thing about working out. It kind of translates to everything, right? And I think that if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you, right? But sometimes you have to hear it from somebody else that you can. Like, there has to be somebody telling you, hey, you
my
can do
first
this.
time doing 2 plates was because my buddy said, no, bro, you can do it.
Yes.
I forgot what I was doing. I think I was doing like 45 and 35 for like multiple reps. And he's like, if you can do that, you can do 2 plates. And I was like, oh, I don't know, bro. Like, I never tried it. He's like, well, let's do it right now. He's like, I'm loading it up. And he just loaded up on there. Boom. Went down and pushed it up. And I did it. Now, because he told me to, you know, and you do need someone there to push you and get better. You know, if you have a circle of men around you that will push you, and you don't take offense to that, and you understand that, hey, everybody's just pushing each other to get better, like, that's how you're going to accomplish the greatest things in life.
Yeah, and so that's the one thing too, is if you don't have that male influence in your life to kind of tell you to keep on pushing, right? You're always gonna give up when it gets hard. You're always gonna give up when it gets hard. Like, if you don't have somebody telling you like, hey, you can, right? Or at least like, maybe not even that strong male influence like from above, like even just like that camaraderie from somebody else telling you can, you know? If you don't have that, like if you don't have that male figure in your life, or the male figures around you, it's kind of hard to ever think that you're not growing, you're not getting better, because you're almost too comfortable in your mindset because you're scared. You don't want to jump. Like you're very much almost like so scared that you're like, you know what? Like instead of having that where I need to fail to get better, you're too scared to fail because you don't want to deal with like the consequences of it or whatever it is. You know, like it's almost like it's too it's too big for you. You know, but you have to have somebody who at least has done it before and show you that how easy it is, or at least to be able to push and be like, hey, like if
Someone
you
who
don't got
believes.
yeah, if you don't got it, I got you, right? Like, and I believe in you more, right? So that's definitely like a big thing to have. And if you don't have that, man, it's so hard. I think it's so hard to break past those mental barriers, because the mental barriers that you have, it doesn't matter if it's for work, it doesn't matter if it's for the gym, it doesn't matter if it's for your relationships at home, whatever it is. But if you can't push past the times that are hard, how do you ever be like the man that somebody else can depend on? You know?
Yeah, and I don't think it's impossible to get that later on in life, but
No.
it'll definitely feel unnatural if you didn't have your father doing that for you as a kid.
Yeah, like I think
You know?
having
You can learn it, but it'll feel unnatural. Whenever it's, done in the natural way, which is a father instilling that in his kid, showing him, how to level up, you grow up and it becomes like, okay, this is how I translate this everywhere. Like you said, it's in the work, it's in your relationships, it's in the gym, whatever personal goals that you have. A lot of this podcast is us talking about our personal goals and us keeping each other accountable. And I think that we're able to look at each other and say like, okay, yeah, like it's not, if I tell you, bro, you got to do better, you're not looking at me like, oh, I'm maliciously attacking you. You're like, oh, fuck, like this is.
And I don't think it ever gets easier to take that stuff, right? But I think it's easier to take. No, it's hard. It's very hard to for somebody to tell me like, hey, you're fucking up, right? Like honestly, I think it is. But I think since I've had that since on such an early age, I take it a little bit better, right? Maybe the way I react is not always the best, but the way like I take that information, I use it is a whole lot better. Because some people just like, oh, like you don't know what you're talking about. You know, you do have those people that you try to help. I don't know if you've ever had like homies like that too. You try to help them, you try to be there for them, and then they just won't change. They're stuck in their ways, and they just don't think like it's either their way, the highway, and they almost feel like if it's not. It's never going to be them. It's always everything around them. You know, it's almost like that victim mindset. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes kind of sense.
I know what you mean too well.
Oh.
Yeah. The victim mindset is hard to get away from. And accountability is everything. If you can't take accountability that everything in your life as a man is your fault, then you are going to kind of get washed over by everybody else who will take accountability. If I don't want to say just washed over, but if you're in the gym, right, and you want to lose weight, you're not in direct competition with the guy next to you, right, on the treadmill. Mm-hmm. But if you guys both start going at the same time, and that guy's willing to go whenever he doesn't feel like going to the gym, he is going to lose weight faster than you. Now, you might not be in direct competition with him, but in a society where everybody's trying to go after all the money, eventually that kind of trickles down. If that guy can beat you in the gym, he'd probably beat you at your job too.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say, every time, right? Because, I mean, there's other statistics and attributes, right, that you might have and, that push over him. But most of the time, yeah, that guy who can outwork you in the gym can also outwork you at your job.
Yeah.
It could also outwork you in a relationship status. If you guys wanted the same girl and he's willing to put more work into it, he'd probably get her too. In the fact that he's in better shape, he's making more money, so all around, if you're not willing to put in the work and have accountability for yourself and understand, yes, if you're not in the shape that you want to be in, it's your fault. If you're not making the money that you want to, if you're not making the money that you want to make, it's also your fault.
It's also kind of like, I think I was texting you throughout the week, right? When we were talking about your goals and I know you lost your phone, right? So we were kind of texting.
Oh yeah, man, I lost my phone. That's another thing that happened this week that I wanted to talk about.
But it's one of those things where I know we put it's the results were what is it? What did I say? The results that we're looking for are hiding in the work we're avoiding.
Yeah, and that day that I lost my phone, I felt like I could have done two things. I could have just been like, oh, okay, well, I lost my phone and I can't work now because it was a motherfucker. I couldn't get into any of my accounts. Every account that we have to get into for work sends you a verification code to your phone.
Yeah, I hate it.
So I couldn't get into my accounts, and I had to get the workarounds through that. I had to ask for help and, have somebody else's phone be the verification phone. And so I can log into our CRM. And that day I ended up, that was the day I texted you on the iPad, right? Not on my phone,
yeah.
But yeah, I had picked up a bunch of leads and I had set some appointments and everything. That could have went two ways. I could have made an excuse there and just been like, oh, okay, well, I don't have my phone. I can't make phone calls. I can't do this. I can't do that. But I was determined because we had just talked about everything. I was like, fuck, I can't just let the week go by me because I don't have my phone.
Bro, yeah. And so another thing too is since you, well, I'm not saying you made it hard on yourself, but since you didn't have your phone, right, it was harder to do your job. But I feel like that was almost a blessing, right?
Because, it was.
Yeah, because you had to really lock in and be like, you know what? Okay, how am I going to win? How am I going to figure this out, right? I think that you realize that not having your phone was kind of like, it's such a big thing, but you were still trying to figure out this goal. So now that you do have a phone, it should be so much easier, right? Excuse me. But I think it's one of those things, bro, where your small wins, they're contagious, bro. It's contagious. Once you get that one win, right? And that this comes from somebody holding you accountable and saying I watched the last podcast and I made a dumb face when you're like, I'm gonna pick up 1 lead a day, and I was like, one lead, right? Because then think about it, you pick up 1 lead, and then chances are it's gonna be a bad one, right? You're not gonna pick up that one great lead.
I didn't understand what was going on with the leads until I started picking them up, and I'm like, fuck, these are kind of dog shit. And I did set 4 appointments. One of them got rescheduled. one of the guys ended up damn, I don't want to say too much, right? Because we can't speak up. One of the guys
Yeah.
ended up wanting something really, really specific and had
The one I helped you with, yeah.
Yes, I had to ask
Yeah.
Jaime for help on this. He had unrealistic expectations for what he wanted us to do.
This guy, he said, I want you to find the most rare vehicle y'all have in y'all's lineup, and I don't want y'all to get paid on it.
Yeah.
Let me know when you can get it. Like, what? And he's like, I want it this week or something like that. And I was like,
yeah,
oh, yeah, okay.
he didn't want to wait. He wanted us to go find a super, super rare vehicle. Funny enough, that day, I was selling one that took me 3 weeks to get. So I was like, okay, I just sold this in particular model and make, right? Configuration of one of the vehicles we sell. It took me 3 weeks to get. This guy wants it, in 2 days and wants us to give us the absolute best deal on it, and we have to go find it. It didn't make sense, right? So I understood. I'm like, okay, I need to pick up a lot of leads and kind of sort through who's really serious and who's not. Some people answer, some people don't. And then, learn how to follow up with it, learn when to work everything over the phone and then when to just get them in. Because I heard from a few people that they're like, no, you don't want to just do the strategy of like, oh, when can you come in? Like, you need to start working these people because other people will work them over the phone and then they end up buying over there. Yeah. And that happened to me on one of them, I believe. They had set an appointment with me for a couple of days later, and then whenever I reached out to them that day, they said, oh, they already bought. And I'm like,
yeah, because somebody else was giving them more information on the phone. They made it easy for them to come in. And then, but another thing too, bro, you also kind of need to know, like, this is all, like, you only have so much mental battery throughout the day, right? And if you want to be a volume guy at a volume dealership, right, if you want to get in front of as many people as possible, you also need to know when to back away from the deal. Like, there's certain times
to leave it alone. Yeah,
you see, like, or like me, like, you came to me on that one deal because you're like, okay, well, what would you say, what would you do, right? And it's very much like, I was like, okay, and you saw me too, I was typing something out, I was like, no, maybe not that, and I typed something out, I'm like, okay, and send that, and then I'm like, oh, this guy, and then I just go back and forth, right? But it was very much like, you have to weigh out the wins and then like weigh out, like, what am I really gonna get out of this, right? Like, this dude wants me to bend over backwards for what, like, for me not to, wants me to do the most for the least. And so that's another thing too, is like, you have to go through so many opportunities to know, like, to kind of find when to, like, back off of something that it's not going to be a deal, right? There's a customer I picked up a lead for. I didn't pick up that many leads this week, to be honest, but there's one that I picked up a lead. And this guy, it was a vehicle that was $43,000, or $43,400, something like that. But he wanted it. It was in another state's taxes and fees too, right? So out of state, and their taxes were higher than ours. And he's like, I want you to be at $40,000 out the door, and I want you to ship it to me. And I was like, oh, okay. Do you want a beer with that too, or like, like, like what? And I was like, well, unfortunately, sir, it looks like not. I told him, I was like, not only does it look like we're far numbers wise, but we're also far geologically. So how are we supposed to get there? And then he was like, if you don't want to help me, then it's fine. I'm like, it's not that I don't want to help you, sir. It's just, it looks like we're pretty far, and I just don't understand how we're supposed to get there. If you can help me, if you can align me. And then hangs up on me, right, whatever, calls me back. Okay, what can you do? I give him what I can do. He's like, no, I'm not going to do that. And then whatever, right, I'm not interested, right? And then ends up calling back the next day, and he's like, okay, all right, or what can you do for me?
We'll do it.
Yeah, exactly, bro. So it's almost like you out of that like, going back and forth and having so many deals, like, you could start learning, like, when to put energy into something and when not to put energy into something, because the customers want these cars just as much as we do, but it's all trial and error, and that came from somebody holding you accountable and saying, like, hey, like, what are you gonna do here,
Yeah, I know. And then, man, I'm really starting to see that what you put effort into at the dealership is really, really important, because I'm noticing more and more as I'm putting effort into just trying to get units out, right? Because I said I wanted to do 15, so I'm doing a lot of, like, I'm going out of my way for people to get that 15, right? And I'm at like 5 right now, so we're a little behind schedule.
Yeah, me too, though. Me too.
But damn, the people that you bend over backwards for and who want this, that, and the third, once you give it to them, they're still not happy at the end of the day. And I'm like, fuck, man. The people who just don't really care about anything you make all the money on, and they're just okay, they absolutely love you at the end. And then the people that you bend over backwards for and you do everything, you go out of your way and find them the vehicle and this, that, and the third, and then by the end of it they're just still unhappy. And it's like, wow, like, it definitely was not worth it.
And another thing too, so like you gotta keep in mind that's like we are human beings, right? Like the more effort and time you put into something, that you have to like I go back to the mental battery, right? Like you're gonna put all this time and effort into something, and then you're gonna get nothing out of it, and then you're drained yourself for the next one. Like how many times have you had a bad customer, they drain you, and then you get in front of a good customer, and you almost feel like you're messing it up because you're so affected by the last one.
Yes, bro. Yes, like it, and it. I think that miserable people will be miserable people, and they're gonna take it out on you. And I feel like I gotta do a better job of recognizing that at the dealership now. Like, hey, this person isn't annoyed because they wanna, they want this, that, and the third, and they can't find it. They're annoyed because they're that kind of person. And whenever I give them exactly what they want, they're still gonna be annoyed.
You know what's funny?
They're still gonna be a miserable person after they get the deal that they were looking for.
I have a specific customer in mind. I'm not gonna call him out like by name or anything like that, but I remember he put in a lead and he said, "First off, I don't want to play games." I was like, "Sir, we definitely don't have to play games." Right? And then you know what? The funny thing is that this guy was very much the guy who wanted to play games. Like I'm like, "Sir, we don't have to do all that." But he definitely was 4 hours. It gave me. Yeah, so it's just a bunch of stuff, right? Like it's like it's the effort you put into these things, right? You almost have to feel like you have to. I always have to keep remind myself like I can't take these things personal. This is my job. This is what I signed up for, right? But I also am a human being, and I don't have to put up with somebody else's stuff if you're not gonna treat me like a human
They
being.
take it out on you, though.
They do, bro. They do.
And I'm before, like I said, I was thinking, I'm like, okay, you know what? They probably had a really bad experience at other dealerships, and they've been going through it. They've been getting fucked with all day, and I try not to blame it on them, but I am starting to realize it doesn't matter if I'm the guy who gives them everything that they want. Like they're just those kind of people.
Yeah.
And they're gonna take it out on you, and I very much do chase every deal. Like I will chase down a deal that I shouldn't be chasing, and you see me do it.
And
In the end, I always feel stupid doing it because I'm like, fuck, like I got the car deal, but I can see that they're like still unhappy, and like we gave them everything they wanted. They got like they got a better deal than what we would get if we bought one there.
Yeah.
And then it's still like, oh, like you're the asshole, like for whatever reason, right? So I think I do need to do a better job of kind of feeling out what I have in front of me and understanding like, okay, am I gonna go through all the effort for this just to have a bad result in the end, to have somebody unsatisfied? I had to back off of a new car deal because I knew that they were gonna burn me on the survey.
Oh yeah, bro. That's another.
And I
thing
was
too,
like,
yeah.
oh my gosh, that one blew up in my face, and I was just sitting there praying. I was like, please do not buy the car. Like, please do not buy the car, because I know that if they get sent to survey, they're gonna burn me hard. And I was super nice about it the whole time. Like everything, I'm very much like.
Yeah. You
know how I sell. Like
you still have that customer service.
Yes,
ma'am.
yes,
ma'am. Right away. That's what you
yes,
have.
I have the customer service still, and I'm like, fuck. Like, I think before at the Dodge store, the clientele that I had over there, I would definitely soften people up, and they were like, fuck, like I can't even be a dick to this guy. He's too nice to me. Like I would kill him with kindness.
Oh yeah.
But over here at the Toyota store, they're like, bro, I don't give a fuck. The last 4 salesmen were gonna take all the rage, everything that my wife and my family and my job, they're gonna take it all out on me, the guy who's being fucking nice to them.
Yeah, like, and they almost see like you as a punching bag, right?
Yes, yeah. And I'm like, fuck. And now I'm like, okay, I get what Jaime's saying. Like you have to bring these people down, and then as soon as you realize like what you have in front of you, it's not a deal, it's not gonna make money, it's just like let it go. Yep. Don't sit there and try to hold on to it, because you're gonna go out of your way to do all of this work, and in the end, it's not gonna be worth it.
Keep in mind, right, when we're losing money, right, it doesn't matter how much money you lose, you're getting paid the same, right? But at that point too, it's like I'm putting more energy, I'm wasting more, or not wasting, but I'm spending more of my mental battery, right, where I feel like crap after this deal, and like I'm getting paid the same. Like there almost comes a time where like if you take it away from them, bro, like I'm the person who uses the customer's lines against them. I'm the guy if it's meant to be, sir, it's meant to be. Like hey, that real chill guy. Like, hey, how many times does it come back and like the people buy? So it's sometimes you gotta play those games with them too, bro. But like it's you have, this is the thing, is you have to go through all these like failures, right? You have to take these things, right? And maybe it's, these are the growing pains, but you probably would have never got there if somebody didn't tell you like, hey, this is what you have to do. You know, you have this goal, and I'm gonna hold you accountable so you can get to this goal, right? That one time you said, I told you, we sat down and I said, what's your goal, right? We went and did all our calendars and stuff like that. And I told you, if you don't plan to win, you plan to fail. That's just what it is. If you don't have a plan in place to get to that goal, what do you expect? Like, are you just, you're following the map and it's just a squiggly line and you're like, oh yeah, 50 paces west. Like, you know, there's no really sense of direction. You have to have some type of goals, some small goals, and then you have to start, attacking those goals. You know, small things, and it's very small things, bro. What did you do? You said, I'm gonna pick up one lead, and then you're like, all right, let me pick up my one lead, and then you started like, oh damn, I figured it out, and then you're like, all of a sudden you're the guy who's picking up all the leads now. You know, so you're pissing other people off. And so that's the stuff you need to do, bro. Like, how do you expect to get in front of more customers if you don't pick up more leads or do whatever, you know, whatever you have to do to get in front of more customers, bro. So, like, I'm definitely, I know I've been holding you accountable, but the funny thing is I feel like everybody else at the store is kind of holding you accountable too now, because they're starting to watch this stuff now and they're starting to talk about it. So it's good, you know. It's definitely those things that we need as men, is to hold each other accountable. We can't live like an island. We have to have our pack. We have to have our people around us who are going to hold us accountable, like-minded individuals to help us and push us whenever we get weak. Because I'm not gonna act like I'm the strongest guy in the world. Like, no, there's definitely days where I get weak. There's days I go to you and I'm just not feeling good, bro. And you'll send your little text or whatever it is, like, to help me out. But it's very much things that sometimes I need, and I don't know how to ask for it. Sometimes it's like that pride stuff, you know, like. That's maybe some stuff that I got from my father, right? Like, I don't know how to talk about my emotions sometimes, right? But it's one of those things, like, you if I have like that camaraderie around me, those people to hold me accountable, it's definitely a lot easier to once I take it the right way. To like,
yeah, no, 100%. We iron sharpens iron, and like you can't do it by yourself. That will kill a lot of people, is it thinking that, oh, it's about me, and you know, over there in the chat, my homies are like, oh, self-made and this, that, and the third. And it's like, okay, yes, it's great to do things on your own and be a capable person by yourself, but understand you are going to need help. You cannot have a company with one person.
Yep.
You are going to need help. Yeah, eventually you're going to need help.
You're going to need help, bro. Like, I know that I could be great at all these things I do, but I do not have time, bro. I do not have time. And so it's like, oh, now I have to rely on my homies. Like, Luis, I send him all my half deals on my day off, right? And if I don't get that time to myself to be able to do the things I need to do out of my life, like, there's no way where I can accomplish all the things I need to do. You can be self-made, right? You can do all this stuff by yourself, but I know that I'm going to get to where I need to be a whole lot faster because I have a team pushing me from behind.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never been the type of person who feels bad asking for help. You know, maybe that's a good thing, maybe that's a bad thing. But I've always thought, like, well, yeah, you know, to have an empire, you're gonna need, you know, a whole group of people around you, and the more contacts and the more people that you can call for help, the more useful of a person you are. Whenever some shit goes down and you're the guy who's like, oh, I can make a phone call real quick and boom, 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 and get shit handled, it's like, you're a useful person to have around you. You know, you're a useful person in your own life because you have all of these connections, these camaraderies that you build with people. I think that's going to really be the main thing pushing us, is going to be each other in this, you know, and the people watching and stuff like that. That's why we started the podcast, to hold ourselves accountable. We do need to go over the goals real quick as we end this out. Oh, shit, we had the tattoo question.
Oh, yeah. So I know last, I don't know, was it somebody that messaged you, right?
Yeah. One of the questions was, if I were to get a tattoo, what would it be, or my next tattoo? I don't have a tattoo right now. I was going to get one whenever I was 16, and then they changed the law in Texas to where you have to be 18 even with parents' permission. But if I do get a first tattoo, it'll be my grandpa's name right here on my arm. Me and him actually look a hell of a lot alike, and we can get into that in another episode. But I don't really look like my mom or my dad. I think that I look like my grandpa more than anybody. He was crazy. Mm-hmm. I think that I get some of my craziness from him. and gotta love him. So I just, he passed away, and I wanted to get his name tatted on my arm here. So if I got a tattoo, that would be it. But what about you? What do you have plans for your next tattoo?
My cousin that I grew up with, shout out Kane, right? If you ever need a tattoo in San Antonio, like black and white art, I mean black and gray art, like realism stuff like that. He does everything. His Instagram is Kane the artist underscore, I believe. But he does all my tattoos, right? And it's very much. We grew up he's my cousin, right? I think we're like 6 months apart, right? So I always had my cousin in my life. And then I remember very early in his life, he told me that he wanted to be a tattoo artist, and he used to practice on everybody in the family, right? Some people in the family have some, like, his first tattoos. Yeah, his first tattoos, right? I have a little ghost on my ankle that he did, like, when I was drunk one day, and I just let him do it on my brother's table. But he's doing my sleeve. This is like a Japanese style sleeve. I'm probably gonna end up finishing and doing the inside right next. And I really have no plans for my tattoo. I'm very much like just letting my cousin do, like, I'm letting him influence me a lot on this, just because I'm like very much like, I'm supporting him in his dreams, and I think that he's doing so good and so great that why would I not support my own blood in this, right? So I'm very much just kind of letting him, not letting him totally take the reins. I think one time he wanted to put like a crane on me, like a Japanese style crane, and I was like, I don't want a bird on me. So there's certain things, but I really have no idea. Maybe some more Japanese style stuff to finish the sleeve, and then I'm probably gonna move on. I don't know, to my back or my chest, but something. It's gonna come together sooner or later. I just don't have the time. Oh yeah. His ad is Kane the artist underscore, I believe. Yeah. So if y'all need any tattoos, definitely hit him up. Hit him up on Instagram. He's definitely on the come up. This dude's killing it right now. So.
All right, now for the goals, right? I mean, we talked about it just like a little bit briefly here. The sales goals, we were behind right now.
I'm bad.
I can still catch up for the second half. I mean, I switched it up with the leads, but it's only been a week, and I'm still also learning how to work them. The online stuff has always been it's always been a little tricky to me. I think I need to start working the deals over the phone. It's a little tough because of the way that my manager thinks. He's very like now.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
he doesn't want to fuck with nothing unless it's in front of him. So I gotta learn to kind of like put stuff together and put my own information and
figure out those word tracks too.
Yeah. Figure out the word tracks and put the deal together before they come in, and that way they have all the information, lock it down, get a deposit, stuff like that over the internet. I come from a store where it was very much, we really didn't have a lot of competition, at the Dodge store. Mm-hmm. So it's like, if somebody came to us, we're going to give them the best number. So there was no like, there's nothing to worry about. It was just get them in. When can they come in?
Yeah.
We're going to beat out everybody. Like, no other dealership is going to send out a better pencil than we are. Here in the Toyota scene, it's a little bit more competitive. So I have to start working on that, and maybe I could still finish out the month with 15. I'm not too far behind. And what do you think, right? Because you had set your goal at 30.
No, it's very much a really, really far goal. That, I mean, I could still get it. Do I want to sacrifice all my free time to accomplish those goals? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I still need to have that balance. But I know that the reason why I'm not getting as many units as I want is because I'm very much not picking up the leads. I'm almost, I hate to say it, I'm not the easiest person to work with, right, at a dealership, right, especially like coming from management, right, just because I feel like I know too much about the business. But like, I don't pick up leads because, man, it's like 2, 3, 5 minutes later, it's like, oh, did you send your video? Did you do all this stuff? And I'm like, bro, like, I know how to sell a car, bro. Like, I'm not just because I didn't send a video of the car that second doesn't mean I don't know how to sell a car. And so I'm almost, I don't want to say it's like a FU, right? But it's almost like, oh, like, I'm gonna work my own leads. I'm gonna do my own thing. But it's my pride coming in the way, right? So I definitely need to lock in and get those leads, because my setup is built to pick up these leads as fast as possible. I just don't. You're like, I remember you coming up to me like, oh, like, so-and-so's beating me, bro. Like, what are they doing? And I'm like, oh, you want somebody to beat them? I was like, let me go lock in real quick, and I'll go and start doing it now. Like, yeah, I can very much do it, but it's, I know that maybe the effort we put into the internet leads, because they wanted to work a certain way, is maybe a little bit more effort than I would work my own leads. And I need to stop being lazy. I know that's what it is. I know I can sell cars. I just need to stop being lazy, and I need to start maybe going outside. I don't like being outside, to be honest. I really don't. So I hate sending videos and stuff like that, but I know that's what I need to do. Definitely falling behind, but I know that I just need to maximize my time there. I know time is something that you can't change. You can't speed up. You can't slow it down, but you can definitely do more with the time you do have. And I know that that's something that I struggle with because me and you will go and have an hour conversation sometimes, bro, because I get lost in these topics where we're like, all right, what are we going to talk about this week on the podcast? What are we going to do? We still haven't came up with a name, guys. So if y'all know, if y'all have any ideas for a name for the podcast, definitely let us know. We're still trying to come up with that. But it's like all these extra little things that we, it's like a bottle that has all these holes in it, and we have all these leaks, and like that's all the extra time that is flowing now that I could have been using to actually like sell it.
Yeah, I remember that. I don't know what day it was. I think it was yesterday. I went to go take a shit, and I was like, hey, Jaime, I was like, I'm gonna go take a shit. Like, I'm not gonna be picking up leads. Like, go to your computer and start picking them up. Like,
oh yeah.
If I'm not gonna cover it, like, you at least get them.
Yeah, no. And then what did
I don't think that you did.
No, bro. I went to my desk. I set up my stuff, and I was like,
you started eating.
Yeah, oh, bro, because I have that rule. Yeah. Like, I have that rule. Like, if I'm gonna eat today, I need to eat before I work, and I won't touch my computer until I
know.
Eat.
Okay. That is a horrible thing to have. I know. If I don't eat, I'm not gonna work. We gotta get rid of that one this week. This week, you gotta work before you eat. Now, let's use that as a perfect transition to go into the fitness goals real quick, right? Because I want to talk about what you ordered, and I cannot accuse you of anything without asking first. You ordered, right? Because you had said that you weren't going to order any burgers.
I haven't ate no burgers.
You ordered a beef and bacon sandwich.
A beef? Who ordered a beef and bacon?
Or what was it, chicken and bacon?
No, yeah, chicken breast.
Chicken breast? Okay. All right. So
it wasn't a burger. Bacon in there. I put bacon.
But isn't that technically a burger, though? Like, it's a sandwich? You know what I mean? I don't know. We can get into the logistics of it, but I feel like that was a little bit of a cop-out. If we're going to hold me accountable for the sip of soda that I had, we're going to hold you accountable for the chicken bacon sandwich.
I tried, bro.
Because I feel like that's not any better than a burger.
That was a cop-out. Right now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, I was so happy. I was like, oh, I'm eating a chicken breast sandwich, bro.
It's like, I said, hey, you can't eat no McDonald's, and then you go to Popeyes and order their fucking chicken sandwich. Like,
he said, who ordered the beef and bacon? I was like, beef and bacon? Hey, but I did. And you know what? I told him, I was like, all right, like, we're going to do the chicken breast, but let's put some cheese on it. Let's do some bacon. He's like, you want some garlic aioli on it? I was like, yeah, throw that shit on there. And you know that's not good. And then I was like, but no fries. Or what else you got for a carb? He's like, I can make you some rice. So that was like my thing. I was like, all right, put some rice in there instead of whatever it was. But it was good, though, you know. So I've ordered that, like, I think 2 or 3 times this week.
You could have.
Hey, but you know what? I was late on Saturday. I had to buy donuts, and I was about to eat that donut, and you walked in
I walked in right when I walked in there, and I see Jaime holding a donut, and I'm like, bro, what are you doing?
I was like, I saw you right when you were walking, and I was like, oh shit, like I was gonna just toss this donut because I felt guilty, bro. I did. And then I just random, like, I went to JC, and JC took it. I don't know if he ate it or not, but I was like, man, I just felt, I was like, man, I just bought like $40 worth of donuts. I was like, I'm gonna at least have one, right? And then even everybody at the desk, I was like, man, I shouldn't eat one. They're like, nah, get one. They made it like easier for me. I was like, all right, yeah, you're right. I was like, let me get my little blueberry glazed cake donut. And then I walked down to the side room. I see you walking in, and I was like, oh, fuck. I was like, Bro, I very much got like caught red-handed, and it was like, I mean, I guess the perfect thing to talk about at the podcast. I didn't eat it, though. I didn't eat it. But I guess, so it's small steps, right? I went from maybe a burger to a chicken sandwich. Okay, maybe I can take out the bread and the bacon.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was like, the bread and the bacon might be a little bit too much. You can eat the chicken by itself.
Yeah, I know.
You know what, though? Them at the tower is crazy. You need to have people around you who share the same ideals with you all around, because the tower can motivate you, right, for your car sales, but they're not going to motivate you for your fitness goals. So I think it's very important to have people who are like-minded around like all categories, and that's why me and Brandon get along so well.
Hey, Luis, you know, my boy. Oh, that was Luis who said that.
Yeah. It's important to, why me and Brandon get so along is because we're both men who work out, who want to make money, who like to dress nice and take care of themselves.
Yeah.
And we're both into music. You know, the music thing is just kind of like a personal, like, okay, you know, we can sit there and talk about that. But, you know, I like to have Brandon around me because he will hold me accountable for my goals, you know?
And Brandon, the way Brandon's mind works is crazy. Like, he's so smart, bro. And you wouldn't see him that way because he just seems like such a chill guy. But when you get his mind
very,
open,
very analytical about everything.
Good. Yeah, it's so good to have people like that. I know, like, he does, like, our dealer trades and stuff like that, and he'll be like, oh, you need an 8364, and you want it in 0020 with the SR package, and I'm like, what, bro? But he's just so smart with that stuff, you know? And he does push you, like he pushes you to think a different way, and I think you do need that little exposure from something else, you know? And that's another thing, too. I don't know if you noticed, but I have the dumbbells at my desk. Mm-hmm. And I had 30s, and now I got 25s just in case, because I know sometimes, you know, not everybody wants to do maybe heavier weight. I need maybe get
some of the guys who shouldn't be doing 30s walk over there and start trying to pick them up.
And I was like, oh, bro, stop. I felt bad. I was like, let me get these 25s over here. But I put that sign up, and it says community pump. I said, if you look good, you feel good, and if you feel good, you sell a lot of fucking cars, right? And bro, I love it because Brandon goes there like 2-3 times a day. Cal's always there. Nick Smith is always there. There's all the homies that just go and they'll grab a real quick pump. But I love it because it makes me feel like we're all getting a little bit better together, right? It's funny. You put some dumbbells in a room, and somebody's gonna pick them up and start doing something with them. And then we get to talk about all this stuff and how do we I was talking to somebody about like how they're meal prepping, what they're doing there. It opens up so many more conversations, bro. So it's been very, very good to have that because now we're holding each other accountable because we're already talking about our goals between each other. So it's kind of funny that I did that because I was very much just did it because I had my dumbbells there and I was like, you know what, like let me use this opportunity. So I put them closer to everybody else, and everybody else has been using them, bro. And it's like one of the best things I feel like I could have done in a while because it's bringing that like that camaraderie together, you know, like that, hey, like we're all in this together. My customers are like, oh, what are these here for? I'm like, oh, we have a lot of time on our hands. But it's just like, it definitely gives us opportunities to get better together, you know? So it's definitely a good thing to have.
Now, I don't know if you remember, what were your personal goals last week that we set?
It was my time management.
And, okay, yes, yeah.
It's
how are we doing on that?
I've been getting better about it, but I do need to learn my, like, I can't, oh, bro, I'm not, you know what? I was late like 2-3 times this week.
A little bit of holes in the plot here.
Yeah, no, man. I was better about getting stuff done on my day off, so I didn't have to like do stuff on my other days that I was working. I am more self-aware about it, you know. Maybe I have been out a little bit later, where like I'm not sleeping as much as I should, so I was being late to work. But I am more self-aware. Like I'm losing time, and I'll snap out of it real quick. All right, cool. Like, I'll like lock back in on whatever I'm doing. But I noticed on my day off, bro, I got all this stuff done. I got so much stuff done that I hadn't got done. Bro, you should have seen my grass in my backyard. It was pretty bad. But I knocked all that stuff out. HOA was about to start calling me too because my front yard was kind of bad, right? So I was like, nah, let me just knock this out. My neighbor knocked his out, so I was like, let me do this. And then it's almost like I started doing stuff and I started making a plan. Like the day before, all right, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this. And then maybe also not know that I'm not going to finish everything, but just get as much stuff done as possible. Like, and have it like in order from most important to least important. And that's kind of the one thing I use. And I just need to be better about using it every day. Because that was the one day I used it on my day off to get all this stuff done. But now I need to start using it like in my work life too and everything.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I probably should make a list at work. That way you can, you know, it might not go directly to plan, and if it doesn't, it's because you're in front of a customer. So, you know, it's a good thing, right, if you go off the rails. But for the most part, if you're just kind of sitting there, yeah, you do need a list. Like, hey, I'm supposed to be doing this, and the third. So if you get distracted, you can kind of bring yourself back and know what's next for you to do.
I think we need to have those small, like, micro goals for the day at work. Like, I used to do, like, post this many marketplaces, pick up this many phone ups, pick up this many leads. And then I used to have that sticky note. I don't know what happened to it, but maybe I need to get back to getting back to the basics and holding myself accountable there. Because we very much, even though we have management here at this dealership, is very much not, they're gonna tell us to get to work, you do all this stuff, but they're not telling us what to do. They're just like, get busy, do something, get in front of a customer, you know. So I think we need to start holding ourselves accountable and be like, all right, this is what I need to do to get in front of a customer. And if I'm not in front of a customer, I need to find out a way to set up my rest of the week so I am in front of a customer. Because ultimately, bro, like if we want to keep on doing this bigger, we gotta do better at work so we can fund it, all this other stuff. And so like, it's very much the only way out is through.
The only way out is through. For my personal goal, I said that I wanted to make a song.
Oh yeah.
I have not gotten to start it yet. I still have plenty of month though. You know, I am gonna put it together on my day off this week. I'm gonna start on the production of what I want it to be. I think I'm gonna produce this one just so I could do the YouTube route, and maybe I will if I can't put anything together. But if I can produce it myself, I know that I can make it like more of an experience type of song than just kind of like putting something catchy out. And whatever I feel more, you know, I'll do the production, and if I make the beat and I'm like, okay, boom, I have all of these ideas, boom, and you know, I can put it on there. If I'm not feeling what I'm making, then I'll go to something online and use that. But I just want to make sure that I make something good and I don't just do my goal to do it. But yeah, definitely on my day off, I will start on the production, maybe start on some writing, and then, you know, somewhere next week I'll lay down the vocals for it.
Yeah, but I think we need to get better about asking each other. That's what we need to do. We need to have like me, you, a couple homies, right? Maybe me, you, Brandon, Luis, like the homies, right? And we need to like just hold each other accountable. Like, hey, what are give me 3 goals, what you need to get done today, and I'm gonna check back in with you later. Because we've even been saying like, hey, let's make a little like work promo video, right? That we can kind of like put on our social media. Since we're already doing this together, let's do a little quick video that we can put on our Instagram and say like, hey guys, we're here at North Park Toyota, blah blah blah. And we're like, yeah, we'll get it done right before I leave. Yeah, just hit me up 30 minutes before you leave. But then, did we ever do it? No.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can't predict what's going to happen, though, at the end of the day, right? I might be with a customer, you might be with a customer, or we're just like, man, fuck today. Like, need to get the fuck out of here.
Oh, yeah. By the time you're done with your day, you're like, you know what, bro, we'll just do it another day.
They're long in the car business, you know?
And it's not only long, like, time-wise, but, like, bro, like, you're also, like, it's not physically demanding, it's mentally draining. And so it makes it feel so much longer.
But if you stand outside and wait for ups, it's also fucking physically draining standing in the sun. Yeah,
bro. But that's another thing too, bro. Like I would go crazy just sitting there by myself because I'm very much a talkative person, bro. That's the thing is like I want to go. I'll see you and I'll go start talking to you. And then, but I see you too though. You'll put your AirPods in. You'll talk to Brandon across the lot, and I see y'all talking to each other like going back and forth.
I'll make phone calls, so I'm not out there by myself. But I think this one's running a little long. We're gonna end it here. Next Sunday we'll be back.
Yeah. Probably around the same time, right? Like maybe like 6:37 somewhere.
Yeah, probably around the same time. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I know it kind of went everywhere. It was a little bit less focused, but you know, we talked about everything we wanted to talk about, and thank you guys for tuning in.
Oh, the new glasses, yeah.